Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Dean Rafe here on FOR, the Forum on Economic Rights. Today, we are going to discuss why an Economic Bill of Rights. Our Constitution and Bill of Rights were created over time, over a stressful and turbulent time full of power struggles, right? I do believe that these power struggles are still raging today. Players might be different, but everybody's jockeying for position. And a lot of these powers that be are doing it at the detriment of society more and more, in my opinion. So, I believe we are living in some bastardized version of this country that is different from the original intent and the country originally formed with our Constitution and Bill of Rights. We should question that, I believe, and we should question what made us great, what made this country great, and we should question what is holding us back from being even better. Massive, truly massive wealth inequality is not a good part of our society right now. I think a lot. I would hope that most people agree. Maybe the rich and powerful would disagree, and that's why they perhaps should be removed from power with the law. I'm not advocating for violence. Power structures that keep the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer are not acceptable in our nation, and I do believe they should be brought down, again, through changing the laws. In my opinion, we live in a semi-fascist, mostly socialist, kind of capitalist, but not really, kind of a capitalist society, if you will. Also a democratic republic corporatocracy. That, and I believe that it's this government that we live in has been, in this society we live in, we've been so misinformed through all the propaganda. So much so that I think a large part of society believes that the government is their savior. And I mean, I didn't live in the pre-constitutional time, the Revolutionary War era, but I do believe that they understood that government was the problem. Although people who supported the British in the colonies, they obviously believed that government was their saviors at that time too. So I guess I fall in with the revolutionary ideal mindset that government is not our savior. We need to save ourselves from government, not the other way around. Also, let's recall that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were not created to help the government save us. They were created to save us from that overreach of government. I absolutely believe the framers had all of that hot in their minds as they've worked on these documents. Democracy, that wonderful worst form of government except for all the rest, right? The Constitution and Bill of Rights were created to limit democracy and to put guardrails up that would keep it on track, so to say, and guardrails that would try to mitigate the negative parts of mob rule, which democracy is, right? I view capitalism as a purer form of democracy. Every dollar represents a vote. And each of us as consumer, we don't only vote once, we vote many times, and we continue to vote every time we spend a dollar in our society. So ideally, some people will work a little harder or smarter, and they might get a few more dollars than others, with which they can go vote for an increase in the goods and services that they enjoy. And hopefully that rising economy will lift all boats, right? And I do believe that capitalism is a beautiful system when it works. I do believe that maybe if we go away from the term capitalism, but go with the term of free markets, like Markets are born out of human interaction. When people are trading, one person has a good or service that the other person wants, and so they have to bring something of value to get that. So I think free markets are inherent to humanity and our interactions, and capitalism, socialism, other forms of government or economic systems, they all end up at the end of the day having markets, and it's allowing those markets to function freely that is ideal and good for our society and for our production of wealth and quality of life. So, like I was saying, in those free markets, every person gets the dollars they get, and they get to go vote every day with the dollars that they spend. Now, the problem with capitalism is greed. In the same way that in democracy, it's all about greed and power. That's when you have the breakdown in democracy, people trying to accumulate power and disparaging democracy, or it's not the only worst time, because mob rule can be a problem. But again, that's the purpose of the Constitution, to rein that in. I believe that people becoming ultra wealthy and their greed and power and being able to manipulate government systems and the economy based off of their own wealth is an example of a flaw of capitalism, a flaw of free markets when they become manipulated. So an example of that is monopolies. And we've figured out that we can regulate monopolies and that they're bad, and that we ideally move away from having monopolies, although they still end up existing all the time, like the Federal Reserve having a monopoly over our money. But I am getting ahead of myself. What else can we regulate in capitalism to create those same guardrails that we created with the Constitution for democracy? What else should be regulated? And how do we keep capitalism or free markets working their best for all members of the economy and not just for the rich and powerful, and especially not for our government? Government should be serving the people, not the people serving the government. So that is the purpose of this channel. That is my answer to why an economic bill of rights, to rein in that going off the guardrails of free markets. So those are the topics I hope that we will be exploring together in future videos. All right. Thank you and have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.